morning. Thanks very much for joining us. You know, in our wonderful city, activists come and go. But for the last quarter of a century, our guest this morning has been a consistent voice for the public interest in issues surrounding the development of Boston's most precious natural resource, its harbor and waterfront. But now, Vivien Leigh is heading to Pittsburgh to work on similar issues there after 24 years as president of the Boston Harbor Association. Vivien, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
One thing I have to clear up, though, you're not going to start rooting for the Steelers, are you?
No.
You promise?
Oh, you know.
If I see you on TV waving a terrible towel, I'm going to be pretty ticked off.
You know what's wonderful about Pittsburgh? It's a sports city like ours. And so, in fact, when the search committee talked to me, we jokingly talked about my allegiance. And everyone knows my heart is still very much in Boston.
Good answer. Good answer. You've got my vote in November. Well, thanks very much for joining us. I think many of our viewers, if not all, have had the opportunity to visit Boston's new Seaport District. The restaurants down there, the place is teeming with activity. On a Saturday night, it's really something to see. But it also has problems, terrible traffic problems. Not everyone is thrilled with the kind of development that's gone on there. If we had the Seaport District to do over again, Vivien, and you were calling the shots, what would you like to have done differently down there?
I think there should have been more emphasis on ways to get to the Seaport District. So really building in the water transportation right from the start, linking South Boston with East Boston, where the residences are, and also with North Station. I mean, that would relieve much of the traffic congestion, because a lot of the people work, you know, or live in the North Shore. So to be able to get home, you know, by water transportation and then to the rail would have been key. I think the other thing is the size of development and the scale of development. It's sometimes hard now to see the water when you're a block or two away.
You know, everybody laughed, not everybody, but some laughed at the late Tom Menino when he insisted that that building in the Back Bay have an interesting top on it.
Right.
Oh, I forget what building that is, but you know what I'm talking about. But looking at those glass boxes in the Seaport and looking at one of the sketches that Boston 2024 released of its vision of that new community at Wedette Circle after the stadium's torn down. Again, more boxes. What is with these, in my view, hideous square boxes for condos and offices? What kind of architecture is this?
Well, I used to be on the board of the American Institute of Architects, and so we very much care about quality of life and also the built environment. And I think if we had to redo it, the criteria should have been much more creative architecture. But I've actually seen some plans where people have taken to heart what Mayor Walsh has said about better architecture. So I think the next generation of buildings, you're not going to just see a straight box. I think you're going to see much more creative architecture that's also much more friendly to the pedestrian at the ground level as well.
I've got to take a break, but just briefly, I want to pick up on something you made a great point about how they should have done a better job of connecting North Station, big transit hub, to the Seaport waterfront. Well, they have had a ferry from North Station over to East Boston for a number of years. Just taking that one little thing, why wasn't that done?
Because at the time it seemed redundant with the Blue Line, but now with all the development coming online in East Boston, it makes a lot more sense. And there's so many more people who are going to be commuting from South Boston. So the time is now, because you finally have the critical mass of employees and also residents.
All right, we have to take a short break. When we come back, more discussion of the future of Boston's harbor and waterfront with Vivien Leigh of the Boston Harbor Association when we continue. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're talking with Vivien Leigh, president of the Boston Harbor Association for the past 24 years, getting ready to leave that post for a new position in Pittsburgh. Vivien, are the Olympic Games a good idea for the future of the harbor, the seaport, the waterfront?
You know, what's really interesting about the whole debate is the whole focus now on Fort Point Channel and the waterfront and Dorchester, where the Olympic Village is. That's the interesting thing, that all of a sudden we've made the harbor and the waterfront almost the front yard of our city. I think there's still a lot of questions that need to be resolved, and people are starting to ask them, you know, how is it going to be financed? I think the transportation is going to be a key issue, and then, of course, the legacy projects. I think to a great extent the legislature will be able to control the cost because, you know, we worry about the public financing. no public dollars are going to be spent unless the legislature or city council or other elected officials allow it. So it can't go forward. I mean, we know from highways and transit projects that really the legislature has control over that.
Well, the contention of the critics is that that's not the case, that once you sign on the dotted line and you commit to delivering all these facilities, the International Olympic Committee has you over a barrel, and you have got to pony up whether or not you have subsequently decided it's not a good investment.
I think you should talk to the legislature about that. But in the meantime, I think we're working on a lot of the issues related to how do we move people around and whether there are possibilities with water transportation. And the fact even in Fort Point Channel, bringing more people down there, you know, how do we have the balance of residents and all the visitors as well?
Thinking back now, over the last 24 years, who was the best politician you ever worked with?
Oh, that's not a fair question. When I think of, you know, Congressman Lynch, and when I think about certainly Congressman Moakley, who was so key, as well as Senator Kennedy. You know, but all of the governors, Democrat and Republican, have been supportive, and of course Mayor Menino and now Mayor Walsh. You know, it's surprising, Democrat or Republican, they all cared about the harbor, the islands, and the waterfront. And so I think when we think about the legacy of what we see today, it reflects the fact that there was, frankly, universal support for the harbor and the islands and the waterfront.
Who was the worst Paul you ever worked with?
I can't even remember anyone like that.
What a diplomatic answer. You are terrific. Pittsburgh's gain is our loss, big time. Good luck, Vivien.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for everything you've done for our city. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vivien Leigh of the Boston Harbor Association. That's it for us. Now, it's back to my colleagues for more WBZ News.